All right, comic review time. The ones that I didn't review last time, that I was, cause I like to do. What I like to do is I like to do the review of the comics and have the comics shown. Like, the first one up is Haunted Girl, and I show the book and then all that. But some of these I don't have because they were library books. And I returned them. Uh, I guess at first it was poor time management skills. It was last minute, and then that was what happened. And sometimes it was like a planned visit. It was like, oh, the books are in. Oh, I can go earlier than I expected. Cool, but I can't review the books. And then one time it was only would have been 4 books. I was like, well, I could do what I'm gonna do now and just review the books as is. So actually, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna do a little bit. These are a little bit quicker than normal for the ones that I don't have the book to show off. But, and again, at the end of the day, I don't feel so bad about missing books and maybe like I forget one I reviewed or whatever because I do review them on Instagram. Now the whole Image Comics, because that's what most have been reading these past 2 months. That's why the comic reviews have not been as huge as they've been in the past, especially when I was working. They probably had a bigger stack than they do now. Even including the books that I'm going to be reviewing, they don't have the book of. Like, even when you add those in, still not as much as it's been in the past. So the whole Image Comics, what I've been reading for Image Comics, those, I show them off and I never review them. That video will be a live stream. And at this point, what I'm going to do, because I think it's the best idea, and this is when I have time, like I have to dedicate at least 2 to 3 hours for that. That's a lot of books I'm reviewing, even though some are repeats. So instead of being 117, it'll be more like 90. Now that's not actually how many there are. I'm just giving you a random number. But even then, that's at least 2 hours. And what I'm going to do is, rather than take out each book, it'll be a live stream. I'll do screen capture, and I'll just show the book for Google Image. Like none of them are ones that are that unknown, so I should be able to find the Google Image of the book, no problem. Maybe it'll be issue 1 rather than volume 1, but I'll say what it is in the live stream. That's probably what I'll end up doing. And again, all of them are on Instagram. I'm a few behind, like even on Instagram, I haven't been reviewing them as rapidly as I've been finishing them, but I still have them written down on my notes app. And that's probably what I'll try to do this month. Like my little New Year's resolution for this month is to get those reviewed. So I have an updated review of all the books, even if I've reviewed, like Moonshine, I've reviewed on my Instagram account 3 times already. But to be fair, some of you guys are newer followers, especially those who didn't even know I had an Instagram account. Alright, so here. I like when I have it labeled and I still can't find it because my brain does not work. Like I'm trying to find the Instagram comics I write down. Like, okay, Instagram, here's ones you want to review on Instagram. And I have it right there, Instagram, and I have a list of all the books. I'm like cycling through it. I'm like, where is it? And it's like right there. So first up is Human Target. That was the deluxe edition. The only issue I had not read before, because I didn't have it included in the standard size hardcovers, is Tales of the Human Target. But I did also want to reread Human Target. I didn't like it that much the first time. And completely different opinion. I actually really loved Human Target my second time reading it. I think it is my second favorite Tom King comic that I've read. Now, Tom King, I am very critical of because he is just so overrated. People act like he's, like, every Eisner he wins, he deserves it, and no other comic writers compared to him nowadays, and he's a godsend. And if he were creating comics back in the Stan Lee days, he'd be considered to be just as good as Stan Lee, if not better. And it's just, like, completely obnoxious. Like, Comic Pop is completely obnoxious about Tom King. And then they'll review something from Stan Lee and think it's the most boring thing ever because it's from the Silver Age. Like, yeah, Avengers, I understand. Like, Avengers, I can't stand the first 10 issues of Avengers. But Fantastic Four, like, that breaks the mold, in my opinion. That's, like, quintessential Silver Age. Like, if you want Silver Age, if you, like, you know what you're going into for Silver Age, and you don't mind it, I think Fantastic Four is the perfect place to go. Now, I get what they're saying, but even, like, Not In Search of Galactus, the first Galactus trilogy, you don't like that? You think that's boring? Okay. And it's their opinion at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's their opinion. But I think they glazed Tom King a bit too much. And I'm fine with them not liking Stan Lee at the end of the day. It's just kind of funny to me, like, as well, you don't like Stan Lee, but you love Tom King. That's kind of weird. Kind of funny. But at the end of the day, it's their opinion. And it's more just me giving them shit. But anyways, I live super stutter. I do love their content. In fact, when I was watching their Human Target review as I was reading Human Target, reading. I was watching their Human Target review as I was reading it, and I like doing that because, number one, if I forget certain details, my brain does not work. My brain just does not work. It doesn't. My brain is memory is awful. I learn by repetition, and even then, I'll forget certain details. It's like, how the hell did you forget that? So it's a nice refresher course for me. Like, oh yeah, that's right too, that happened. And sometimes I just gloss over things. Like this one I'm reading right now, Wolf. They have this. This is not a review of Wolf, by the way. It's just giving an example. So they have a lot of this current issue that I was reading just today, just 2 seconds ago. So when you have a lot of that, especially when it's like this, which is a lot of text. Yeah, I'm going to gloss over certain passages, and my brain just like fizzles out. I technically lose interest. I would argue the more text that you have on a page, the less I'm going to retain. But I still retain enough. Like if you have if it's like, yeah, then I went to the store and then I got to the store, went shot everybody. Obviously, I'm going to remember that. So there were obviously certain details I do remember from what I just read of Wolf. Same with Human Target. In a lot of books, I'll just remember things better if it's like less. Now it's not like, oh, if it has only 2 words per page, I'm gonna remember it more than if it's 4. No, it's just like that. And it's not every comic that's like that. And to be fair, they split it up into word balloons. It'd be maybe a bit different, but it's a little overwhelming for me. And I do not think I'm alone on that. I think there's even professional critics who are like that. But anyways, professional comic critics were like that. But anyways, back to Human Target. So yeah, I forget. It was nice to watch their content. So I do like their content. It's just that their opinion is really funny to think about because they glaze Tom King and they'll not like Mark Millar or Stan Lee. And it's like, well, all right. But you say the same about me. Like, I don't like Tom King that much, but I love Mark Millar's work. And I love, what's the other one? Garth Ennis. Like, I actually like The Boys, the comics, and the TV show, obviously. And I still think the TV show is better from what I've seen so far of it. But I still do really like the comics. So you could make the same argument about me. It's just me giving them shit. And I'm not saying that their opinion is invalid. No, I'm just saying that I've always found it funny that they really glaze Tom King. Like, I don't even glaze Garth Ennis that much. Like, yeah, Preacher I do, because it's my favorite comic of all time, but not Garth Ennis the writer. You know, Garth Ennis the writer, I can admit, not everything he writes is great. Like, his Judge Dredd, I couldn't even finish. That was so boring. So, I know not everything, but everything from Garth Ennis is good. Even Jimmy's Bastards, which I think is pretty damn good, to the point where I cannot wait until the day that the library finally gets the second, or just the entire series. I had the first book. I own the first book. But I never got past the first book. Because it's not Image Comics, I'm not going to get the rest of the series and waste money on that when I could be getting Image books instead. That's the way I buy comics, by the way. It's just Image. And that's mainly because of budget reasons. And also because, it's the best of both worlds. You know, you get everything you get from any other publisher, but you're supporting the actual writers. It's the best way to support the actual writers. Of course, you could get the same thing from Vault and Dark Horse, but Image Comics seems to be the best. For me, anyways. And that's just in content-wise, too. Like, there's Dark Horse books I really hated, and Image books I really hated, too, but it's, less so from Image. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked. So Human Target, I really liked it the second time around, and I do consider it my second favorite Tom King book. Even then, they were glazing it to the point where it's like, okay, I like it, but not that much. There are things about it I can understand why people like it, and I understand why they like it at the end of the day. but I think it's a bit over exaggerated in my opinion. But still liked Human Target, and a lot of it comes from the like how it's there's a lot of Tom King isms in there, but it's not as annoying here, and it kind of suits the book, kind of sort of like it did not piss me off as much as it did in like his Batman run. But then again, like the good thing about this book too is that the characters that they assassinate are like Guy Gardner, who's already an asshole in the comics. So, and that's kind of funny too. Like one of the things that they were talking about is how everyone from that side of YouTube was hating on Tom King and hating on Human Target because they character assassinated Guy Gardner, which is like saying, oh, Loki, how dare they make Loki into a trickster? Like, that's Guy Gardner's character. He's supposed to be like that. I know he's supposed to be like that because there are actual comic fans who tell me he acts like that. Yeah, I have not read every single Guy Gardner comic book. I don't usually read Green Lantern. That's just kind of the way it's been for me. You know, I'm not doing it on purpose or anything like that, but I just don't typically read a lot of Green Lantern, so I don't know a whole lot about Guy Gardner, but I've been told by credible sources that he's kind of an asshole, and when I've been told about him, these actions he takes, like, yeah, obviously that's what he's supposed to be. Like, in the movie, in the Superman movie, when that came out, I remember them talking about that, I remember that's when there's a topic of discussion. So, for them to do that for Human Target, yeah, no shit. You know, it's not like they're making Christopher Chance into the same guy as Guy Gardner. They're best friends, and they both think the same and act the same. No. In fact, he obviously does not. Without giving too much away, you can tell that they do not like Guy Gardner. And that was really good. I like that characterization. And I liked how, at the end of the day, they didn't pull a Strange Adventures. I was expecting them to. I don't know why, because I've read it before, but I honestly have forgotten how this book ended. So it was nice to reread that ending and remember, oh yeah, that's how it ended. Really phenomenal work from Tom King. Just a really great book that even I agree is really damn good. Not 10 out of 10 good, I would say more like 9 out of 10 good. But definitely worth checking out. Like, honestly, they would say 11 out of 10, probably. And I say more, 9 out of 10, 8.5. The only problem I had with it, really, was that you do have the Tom King isms. Like, a lot of that awkward dialogue just does not seem to fit with what they're going for. Maybe he was going for that, and that's the whole point, but it just felt like, to me, that's not it. Fire and Ice, both volumes, they're guilty pleasures of mine. This time around, it was a little bit more arduous to get through. The second volume I had not read before, and it was nice going back to that series, but really just a 6 out of 10. Like, good enough, decent, nothing to remember in a week or so. A week or so's time. But it is, like, I don't think it's terrible. It's nowhere near the worst comic book ever. Like, Squirrel Girl is still my least favorite comic book. It's nowhere near as bad as that. But, and again, like I said before, I have a guilty pleasure. I have a guilty pleasure. No, I have a soft spot for those types of books. You know, the Ms. Marvel Comic-Con and the Lumberjanes. It's my guilty pleasure. It's nothing that you would ever associate me with reading, but I do like those kinds of books. And probably because one of my favorite graphic novels that's not from the big two, to take that out and to go to independent comics, one of my favorites is Smile by Brianna Telgemeier. I think that's a phenomenal graphic novel, one of the best comics any teenage girl could read, any teenager in general, honestly, because even guys could find something to relate to in Smile by Brianna Telgemeier. It's just Brianna Telgemeier books in general. Anyone who has a sibling can relate to those books. And there's more than just one. There's Smile, Sisters, Guts. I think that's it. I almost want to say there's a fourth one, but I'm probably associating that with her other books, because she did some spin-off books that were not spin-off books. She did some other books that were totally disconnected from Smile, but those are all memoirs too, so even better, even more relatability there. But moving on, so Fire and Ice, yeah, 6 out of 10, maybe a 6.5, but I'd say 6 out of 10. They're decent enough. Even by those standards, it's just decent. Absolute Green Lantern blew me away. I think it is my second favorite Absolute book. 9.5 out of 10, perfect pacing, and finally an Al Ewing book that's not Immortal Hulk that I really, really liked. I do not have the best track record with this stuff. I'm going to try and reread Ultimates and probably bring that with me on vacation. Try and get back into that, but no promises even then. Red Hood, Lost Days, and then Red Hood, The Hill. Two different Red Hood books. Red Hood The Hill was awful. I hated that book. It was just boring and not that great. Some minor good things we had, but not enough to save that book from just being a slog to get through. And that's not, and for modern comics or anything to be a slog to get through, that is a telltale sign that you really fucked up. Because Silver Age, it makes sense. But modern comics, where 9 out of 10 times it takes me only 20 minutes to get through each issue, and I feel every minute of those 20 to 30 minutes, that's pretty damn bad. So 2 out of 10 for Red Hood The Hill, but Lost Days was amazing. Written by Judd Winnick, so obviously it's going to be really damn good. Judd Winnick is honestly the closest I think I'll get to a Tom King, because everything I've read by him so far I've really, really enjoyed. And Red Hood was just really damn phenomenal in and of itself, so to get more from that series, from that era, is fantastic. And it is a prequel, it acts as a prequel to the events of Red Hood, but it had to come out after because there's a huge spoiler of who Red Hood actually is. I will not give it away. If I accidentally do, I'm sorry, but I'm not giving it away just in case you guys don't know. I think everyone's comic is every comic is someone's first comic, all that, yada yada yada. But they tell you who Red Hood is right off the bat. So it had to have been a prequel that came after, like how the Star Wars prequels came after the original trilogy. But phenomenal stuff. From that's Red Hood Lost Days. Red Hood The Hill is the complete opposite. Every yin for yang. In fact, I read it on Instagram. One of the comments was the those things they use in theater all the time, like the happy, sad things, the drama and the comedy and drama thing. That's what I got as a reply. I was like, yep, perfect way to describe that. And then finally, Guardians of the Galaxy. This was the the Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing run, the first volume in that series. If you were on the Al Ewing run, and apparently that got canceled prematurely, so a lot of people were kind of pissed. Oh, you got these guys on. You're not gonna get over that. I understand. But if you were like me and you were just picking up random issues of Guardians of the Galaxy over the years, and you skipped a few runs, then I like the Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing run. Not gonna rush out to get Volume 2, to read Volume 2, but it was good. Both those writers I'm kind of indifferent to. I've not read anything by them I've been overly wowed with. So, biased here to find something that by them I actually really liked. So, it was probably like, oh, a surprise from those writers. Had it been anybody else, I probably would not have liked it as much. But again, it's from them. Didn't really like their stuff. Really like this. So I was super surprised. So maybe like if I ordinarily give like a 6 out of 10, I'll probably give it a 7 out of 10. Just because of the fact that, again, surprised with the work that I actually liked. Because everything else I've been completely indifferent to. It's like, yeah, it's alright, yes. That kind of indifferent. Now on to the books I actually have in my hand. First up is A Haunted Girl by Ethan and Naomi Sachs. This is more Naomi Sachs' work than Ethan Sachs. Ethan Sachs just helps out with the other stuff. But Naomi Sachs, without giving too much away, this is a very personal book to her. And in that sense, it's a really damn good book. Now, the supernatural stuff, none of it's going to get to the heights of Wayward. It's just decent supernatural stuff. Nothing overly fantastic, but the fact that it's a personal story for Naomi Sachs, I have to give high marks to. So an 8 out of 10 overall. Cold Spots is fantastic horror, fantastic indie horror in general. Like, I could totally see this being like a Neon or a A24, or now it's Focus because of Obsession. I can totally see that being one of those kinds of horror comics. Horror movies. It's not a different story, obviously, from. It's supernatural horror, But really damn good stuff. It's a quick read. It's not gonna stick with. I would say it's only gonna stick with me because I really like Cullen Bunn's work. But I can see this being a forgettable book for most people. For me, I'll remember this. Like, very memorable comic book for me. 5 issues, not a whole lot of story to tell in 5 issues. So like it's not like you really get to know these characters and you fall in love with them. It's just a decent horror comic, and you do care for the characters you do relate to the characters pretty early on, especially what this story is all about. You definitely relate to the main character, pretty quickly here. It's not hard to do that, but really damn good stuff. A lot of it's the atmosphere and the horror itself. Cullen Bunn is just one of those writers that I have not read anything by him I've absolutely hated. Midnight Show is awful though. And it's horror too. Like, it's like you do Cold Spots and you do Midnight Show. Like, even Unearth I liked. My standards for Cullen Bunn are not that high, and yet you still completely blew them with Midnight Show. But Cold Spots is phenomenal Cullen Bunn. Not as good as Harrow County, but still worthy of checking out. It's 5 issues. It's 5 issues, and even at that, it's a quick read. This one I did not finish. This is Athanasia. Athanasia, so I read it, and I felt like I was understanding what was going on, and then something happens in part 1, at the end of part 1. I was like, okay, I remember what happened. And then part 2 was like, completely forgot about it. I had to go back to it, and I was like, how did I forget about that? I took several breaks in between reading this, because this is all of one issue. This is an OGN, but they go by chapters. I don't know why they didn't just go by 8 chapters. Like, make it like how it was for Autumnal, which is also written by Gino Kraus and also published by Vault. But for whatever reason, one issue has to be over 80 pages long. And if I want to read it by chapter, I was not going to read all of this in one sitting, like how I usually do with OGNs. But that's all one chapter. So what I'm going to do next time is I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to basically do it in 8 issues. So I'll split it up between 8 chapters and do it that way, and read it 1 per day. But I don't like doing that, because like something like this right here is 4 issues. There were 5 issues that were released previously. The last 5 issues of the series, it's 9 issues total. Volume 1 is first 4 issues. This is last 5 issues. This is an OGN. This is all in one. It's not released as 3 issues or whatever. No, it's just all in one. It's more my OCD and partial autism, I guess you can say, acting up. But I'm going to ignore all that, and I'm just going to read this again later on. Again, next month when I'm on vacation. Hell, maybe even on the ride up, I'll try and read as much as I can of it. Not a bad idea. But anyways, what I've read so far, I did like, though. But nowhere near as good as Autumnal, and not really as good as Cemeterians. Kind of bottom of the barrel, Daniel Kraus for me. But still decent work in general. It's just Daniel Kraus is a really damn good writer. And he delivers that. And obviously, superheroes is not his stuff, it's horror. So to do superhero stuff is kind of jarring. That One Hand and the Six Fingers. This is Image Comics, so I'm going to be very quick about it. Really damn good stuff from Dan Waters and Ron V. Ron V, I've not been a huge fan of his work, sort of to really like something by him is a feat unto itself. I still like the Six Fingers more than the One Hand. It's 2 series that are connected, but it's written by 2 different writers. Still like Six Fingers over the One Hand, but it's still damn good stuff. I already want to read this one again. Why not keep it? Honestly, part of me is thinking of doing that. Lone Wolf and Cub. I did not finish this because I don't like manga. Gonna give it a chance next month, but just not a huge fan of manga in general. So I'm gonna move on from that just because it's bias. It is bias. I'm not a huge fan of manga. I don't know what it is. It's just not my thing. I can't get into it. But Lone Wolf and Cub was good. Like, I liked what I was reading, but also I was like, yeah, to read 2 of this per day, I can't do that. Because it's 16 chapters, I was going to read it within 8 days, so 2 per day. But I think, like, again, next month when I'm on vacation, I'm reading less. I don't feel the need to read as much, a whole lot, like a bunch of stuff I was reading if I was not on vacation, or like away on vacation, like here on vacation. Yeah, I'm at home, I have all my comics with me, so I can go ham with it. But next month I'm gonna try and go a little bit less, so find more time to watch movies and all that. That's my New Year's resolution for next month. You guys may be confused with what I mean by that. What I've been trying to do and failing most months, but really trying to get at it, is I do it per month. Like next month, let's read less, watch more movies. This month, it's gonna be, we're gonna read a lot for the first few days of the month, first 2 weeks or so, but then we're done. And I'm gonna, as I finish each book, instead of replace it, we're not gonna do that each and every time. Sometimes we will, yes, but not every time. Watchmen. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. It is just as good as they say it is. No exaggeration, whatsoever from anybody. This is complete 10 out of 10 work. It is one of the most groundbreaking graphic novels for a reason. It definitely deserves to be into one of Time Magazine's 100 Best English Language Novels since 1923. It deserves to be considered among that. Preacher should also be there, but to have Watchmen there I'm fine with that, just being the only graphic novel. I think there's more than that. I believe Mouse is also considered, but absolutely phenomenal stuff. Even for someone like me, who didn't like V for Vendetta that much the first time I read it, Watchmen has always been my shit, and will always be my favorite Alan Moore comic. 10 out of 10 stuff. Each time I read this, I'll be reading in a different format. I think next time I'll go back to Absolute. Next time I'm going to do paperback, and probably my copy. And finally, Run the Dungeon by Patrick Kindlin. I really hope this guy writes better than he does here, because this was weird. Just completely disjointed, too. I don't think it was just me, either. It was just, a jumbled mess of a comic. I could kind of understand what was going on. I knew that it was a consistent, it went from point A to point B, sure, but it was, just jumbled. And then the way that the book ends was okay. So it was a complete waste of time. Cool. Any other writer who could write better than you could, I wouldn't mind that. But because I wanted to at least have a definitive ending, and didn't really have a definitive ending, I'm going to spoil it. They go back to the beginning. It's oh, here we go again. Okay. Yeah, not my thing. Probably would give this a 5 out of 10. But really just a question mark out of 10 or an asterisk out of 10 because it's just not my thing. I like these types of books, so I don't know why it wasn't, but it just wasn't. Just very disjointed. So, I did not give an out of 10 score for each book, but I think you can tell. For the ones I didn't give an out of 10 score, I think you can tell how I felt about the book without me giving it an out of 10 score. Actually, I think the only one I missed out on was... No, I actually think I did. One Hand, Six Fingers. One Hand, Six Fingers, I think it's the only one I didn't give it an out of 10 score. 9 out of 10. But that, as I say, is that.